Prince Edward's unexpected deployment to Rome this weekend is reshaping palace schedules, diplomatic expectations, and external speculation in equal measure. The Duke of Edinburgh steps forward as King Charles III's personal envoy at the inauguration of Pope Leo XIV, an assignment that observers initially assumed would fall either to the monarch himself or to the Prince of Wales. Late-night confirmation from Buckingham Palace ended that guessing game, yet sparked fresh questions about succession optics, royal health management, and the future pattern of Windsor diplomacy. For constitutional commentators, the intrigue begins with timing. Sunday's ceremony arrives as the King's medical team fine-tunes his treatment timetable, and as Prince William prepares a demanding early summer circuit, Normandy commemoration, Earthshot Manchester summit, and trooping rehearsals. Allocating the Vatican duty to Edward therefore solves an immediate diary puzzle, but also places the least scrutinized senior royal at center stage, an unusual twist that raises his international profile at a moment when the streamlined monarchy is under pressure to cover a full global workload. Royal staff emphasize continuity. Since the 1982 state visit of John Paul II to London, the Crown has maintained a convention of senior representation at major papal transitions. King Charles, then Prince of Wales, attended John Paul II's funeral in 2005. Prince William represented the UK at Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI's funeral in 2023. Yet protocol traditionally lists the sovereign, or the heir among first options for an inauguration, making Edward's selection noteworthy. Behind the scenes, diplomatic planners cite three converging factors. First, the King's oncologists advised avoiding long-haul flights until post-treatment scans in September. Second, the Foreign Office considered the Prince of Wales irreplaceable at the 8th of May D-Day events, where living veterans' ages give the anniversary, now or never gravity. Third, the palace views Edward's growing public ratings, 65% favorability, according to YouGov's April tracker, as an asset when projecting stability abroad. Intrigue deepens in the details of travel. Flight manifests place the Duke aboard an RAF envoy for departing Northolt on Saturday morning. Accompanying him, a single equerry, two private secretaries, one Foreign Office protocol advisor, and a four-person protection team from specialist operations. Notably absent is the Duchess of Edinburgh, often seen beside her husband on Commonwealth tours. Sources point to her prior commitment hosting a Leeds Early Years Symposium, yet absence fuels online debate about internal rota strain. The Vatican ceremony itself supplies high diplomatic stakes. Pope Leo XIV, formerly Cardinal Jean-Baptiste Baudry of Quebec, is the first North American pontiff in history. His background in environmental science aligns with the King's lifelong climate advocacy, sharpening interest in any private exchanges. Edward carries a personal letter from the monarch. Palace officials confirm contents remain confidential, but describe it as congratulatory, with emphasis on shared stewardship objectives. St. Peter's Square will host an estimated 200,000 worshippers, and some 120 official delegations. European Broadcasting Union forecasts a live global audience exceeding 320 million across television and streaming. Royal household analysts routinely track such numbers. Visibility at an event of this scale translates into soft power currency, shaping public sentiment, and by extension, tourism interest. Relations between London and the Holy See have seen sharp turns over 5 centuries, from Henry VIII's break with Rome to the current era of cautious cooperation. State-to-state diplomatic links were restored only in 1914, full ambassadorial exchange waited until 1982. Each royal appearance within Vatican walls therefore carries historical resonance, particularly when the attendee represents a monarchy that still holds the Church of England as established faith. Edward's itinerary illustrates the diplomatic tightrope. On Saturday evening he will attend Vespers in the Paul VI Hall, seated beside EU Commission President Lentini. On Sunday, following the pallium ceremony, he joins a small lunch of 20 delegations hosted by the new pontiff. Conversations, though private, are logged by the Foreign Office and summarized for the King's Red Box. Items likely to arise: COP30 preparations, safe corridors for humanitarian aid in Sudan, and joint heritage projects, marking the 650th anniversary of the English College in Rome. Security planning adds another layer of interest. Italian Interior Ministry orders elevate the event to the highest threat category. Vatican Gendarmerie employ an AI-assisted crowd scan introduced at Easter 2025, capable of reading 2,000 faces per minute against Interpol databases. British SO-14 officers integrate live alerts with UK counter-terror units. All royal movements remain subject to rolling green, amber, red assessments. Public intrigue also turns on finance. The Sovereign Grant Report notes each short-haul royal charter averages £16,500. Transparency logs will publish Edward's trip within 3 months, but Republican campaigners already call for strictly commercial travel. A Cabinet Office aide counters that chartered RAF aircraft allow encrypted briefings en route and immediate deployment of countermeasure systems. Media narratives examine the Duke's trajectory. He undertook 228 engagements last year, surpassing Prince William for the first time. Historians recall that George VI relied heavily on his brother Gloucester during the 1940s. Parallels emerge as a modern monarch balances illness with duty. Edward, described by former equerry Sir Alastair Bruce as punctual, unflappable, and free of succession politics, appears a logistical linchpin. Still, intrigue lingers over potential fallout. Some commentators suggest the Prince of Wales could have split duties, noting his short Manchester-Rome flight time. Others view Edward's role as strategic rehearsal for further high-stakes assignments, should the king reduce overseas travel long-term. Meanwhile, Vatican watchers speculate that Pope Leo XIV's first state visit might target the UK, reciprocating Edward's delegation, an itinerary that could place the pontiff in Westminster Abbey by 2027. Numbers reinforce the story. According to the Commonwealth Secretariat, 56 member states represent 2.5 billion citizens, 60% under 30, and faith diplomacy forms a cornerstone of youth engagement. EBU statistics show broadcasts featuring senior royals in intercultural contexts drive social media interactions 35% higher than domestic ribbon cuttings. Charities Aid Foundation records an average 8% donation rise in the week following a royal presence at global humanitarian forums. Historical context gives Sunday's scene broader weight. The last North American to approach papal leadership was Cardinal O'Connor in the 1990 conclave, but no Canadian, US or Mexican candidate had secured 2/3 support until this year's conclave. That shift widens global Catholic demographics. 25% now reside on the continent, according to Pew Research 2024, meaning Edward's handshake may resonate well beyond Europe. With the king set to review his medical plan in late summer, the distribution of duties could become semi-permanent. Insiders say contingency rotas list Edward for upcoming Commonwealth Games ceremonies, and for representing the crown at Japan's enthronement anniversary in 2026. Such prospects elevate a royal once perceived as ancillary to the main line into de facto senior envoy status. Public reaction so far is cautious but interested. Sunday Times polling finds 41% of respondents welcome the Duke's Roman mission, 29% prefer the Prince of Wales. Importantly, among practicing UK Catholics, approval for Edward's attendance rises to 58%, reflecting sensitivity around representation. The Vatican customarily grants a brief private audience to each head of state delegate within weeks of inauguration. Should Pope Leo XIV confirm a September date, Edward could return to Rome, perhaps joined then by the Duchess. A second visit would consolidate his diplomatic credentials and test whether the monarchy's reduced roster can maintain consistent presence. Next developments will be measured in camera shots and handshake durations. Broadcasters will note whether Edward secures a front-row diplomatic seat alongside G7 leaders, or if protocol places the UK in its alphabetical rank. Viewers will scrutinize the moment he greets the pontiff, length of conversation, exchange of gifts, body language. Every gesture will feed into commentary underpinning British soft power at a time of domestic political flux. The immediate intrigue concludes when the Duke steps back onto RAF Northolt tarmac late Monday night. He is scheduled less than 48 hours later to open a science skills hub in Belfast, a quick pivot from Vatican pomp to regional outreach that underscores agenda density. Royal officials hope the contrast itself communicates adaptability. From global altar to local classroom, a Windsor still moves with tempo. The broadcast narrative then shifts to Horse Guards parade. Trooping the colour rehearsals will place the King, if cleared by physicians, on the parade ground for the first time since diagnosis. Viewers will see weather adjustments, shorter carriage route, reduced reviewing time, betray any strain. They will also note the seating of Prince George and his siblings, whose gradual introduction to public life forms another thread in Windsor continuity. As for Edward, his role in Rome could mark the beginning of a distinct era. If the trip proceeds smoothly, no diplomatic missteps, no protocol errors, no security alarms, courtiers may conclude that the Duke of Edinburgh offers the monarchy a dependable third pillar alongside the sovereign and the heir. That calculation would influence future allocations of international duties, especially those demanding presence, but not direct succession symbolism. In the final analysis, Sunday's inauguration is more than a ceremonial fixture, it is a live stress test of the palace's new operating model. King Charles's health, Prince William's domestic agenda, and Prince Edward's evolving status intersect beneath St. Peter's colonnades, providing a real-time indicator of how a slimmed-down monarchy manages maximum exposure. Audiences worldwide, from Westminster watchers to Canadian faithful celebrating a fellow North American pope, will calibrate their perceptions accordingly. Our next bulletin follows preparations for trooping the colour and examines contingency plans, should medical advice prompt further delegation. It will assess whether Edward's successful Roman mission cements his place as the monarchy's principal global envoy, and how that may ripple through Commonwealth representation strategy over the next 18 months.